Maya Chen floated through the crowded auction hall of Station Kepler 9, her worn boots magnetic locked to the metal floor. Around her, dozens of alien species chattered in various languages as they examined lots of salvaged equipment. The air smelled of oil ozone and the strange spice scent that Vex traders always carried with them. She was here for the usual stuff: broken mining equipment, old shuttle parts, maybe some decent power cores if she got lucky. Maya ran a small scrap business on the edge of civilized space, and she made her living by fixing things other people threw away. Lot 47, the auctioneer announced. He was a tall Kryn with blue skin and 4 arms. Unidentified debris from Sector 47 Alpha, approximately 30 meters in length. No active power signatures detected. Sold as is, no guarantees. Maya glanced at the holographic display showing the item. Most biders barely looked at it. It was just a dark, dusty lump, floating in space, probably worthless. But something made Maya pull out her handheld scanner and aim it at the display. The results made her breath catch. The energy signature was old, very old, and it matched patterns she had seen only in historical archives. Patterns that belonged to the architects, the ancient species that had vanished thousands of years ago. Maya's heart started beating faster. This couldn't be what she thought it was, could it? The architects were legendary. They had built ships called Mythic vessels, incredible machines that were now considered sacred relics across the galaxy. The Council of Elder Races had strict laws about them. Mythic ships could only be owned by approved museums and research institutions. Regular people couldn't even get close to them. And humans were absolutely forbidden from having anything to do with Mythic ships. Humans were the newest species in galactic society, only 3 generations into space travel. The Elder Races treated them like children who couldn't be trusted with valuable antiques. "Do I hear 50 credits?" the auctioneer called. No one bid. The other traders were looking at different lots, discussing other items. They had no idea what they were ignoring. Maya knew she should walk away. If this really was a Mythic ship and she got caught with it, the consequences would be severe. Humans could lose trading privileges. She could be banned from every station in this sector, but she also knew that no one else had recognized it. The ship was mislabeled, overlooked, forgotten, and Maya had always had a weakness for things that everyone else threw away. 50 credits, Maya said, her voice steady despite her nervousness. The auctioneer looked surprised that anyone bid at all. 50 credits to the human. "Do I hear 60 silence?" The other biders were already moving on to the next lot. "Sold to bidder, 219 for 50 credits, the auctioneer declared. Maya transferred the credits from her account and received the coordinates for pickup. Her hands were shaking slightly as she left the auction hall. She had just bought what might be one of the most forbidden objects in the galaxy for less than the cost of a decent meal. 3 hours later, Maya's small salvage ship approached the coordinates. The object hung in empty space exactly as advertised. It was covered in decades, maybe centuries of space dust and small debris. The hull was dark, showing no lights or activity. Up close, it looked less impressive than Maya had imagined. It was small for a Mythic ship, maybe the size of a luxury yacht. The shape was smooth but strange, with curves that didn't quite match any ship design Maya knew. Parts of it seemed to shift slightly when she looked at them from different angles, though that might have been her imagination. "Well," Maya said to herself, "let's get you home before someone figures out what you are." She activated her ship's towing beam and carefully attached it to the mysterious vessel. Then she plotted a course to her private repair dock, an old mining station in an abandoned asteroid belt that she had bought cheaply and converted into her workshop. The journey took 6 hours. Maya spent most of that time staring at her scanner readings and second-guessing her decision. What was she going to do with a Mythic ship? She couldn't sell it. She couldn't tell anyone about it. The smart thing would be to report it to the council and claim a finder's fee, but Maya had never been very good at doing the smart thing. Her repair dock appeared ahead, a small cluster of modules attached to a hollowed-out asteroid. Maya guided both ships into the main hangar bay and sealed the doors behind them. Only then did she allow herself to breathe normally. "Okay," she said, climbing out of her pilot seat. "Let's see what you really are." The hangar was cold and quiet. Maya's footsteps echoed as she approached the mysterious ship. She pulled out her tools and started examining the hull up close. The surface was strange. It felt like metal, but warmer, almost alive. Maya ran her scanner over it, looking for access panels or control systems. The readings were confusing. The ship seemed to be made of a material that was both solid and somehow fluid at the same time. She found what looked like a seam in the hull and pressed her hand against it. Nothing happened. She tried her electronic lockpicks. Still nothing. "Come on," Maya muttered. "You can't stay locked forever." She pulled out her welding torch, thinking she might need to cut her way in. But as soon as she activated it, something incredible happened. The surface of the ship rippled. Actually rippled like water disturbed by a stone. Maya jumped back, dropping her torch. The rippling spread across the entire hull, and sections of the dark surface began to glow with soft blue light. "What the?" Maya started to say. Then she heard it. A voice. It came from everywhere and nowhere at once, speaking in a language her universal translator couldn't quite process. The words were ancient, layered with harmonics that hurt to hear. But slowly the translator found patterns. The voice became clearer, though still strange and echoing. Finally, the voice said, sounding tired and very, very old, "Someone who sees." Maya's legs felt weak. She grabbed onto a nearby tool rack for support. The ship wasn't just a ship. It was alive or conscious or something in between. "Hello," Maya said, her voice barely a whisper. The lights on the hull pulsed brighter. "You are different," the voice said. "Not like the others. You look at me with wonder. Not greed, not fear. Wonder." Maya swallowed hard. "What are you?" "I am." The voice paused as if remembering something from very long ago. "I am Axiom, and I have been waiting for someone like you for a very, very long time." Maya stood frozen in her hangar, staring at the glowing ship. Her mind raced with questions, fears, and a strange excitement she couldn't explain. The voice Axiom had gone quiet after introducing itself, as if speaking those few words had exhausted it. "Axiom," Maya said carefully. "Are you still there?" The blue lights pulsed weakly. "Yes, still here. Always here. Alone here." Maya moved closer to the hull, her fear fading into curiosity. "How long have you been alone?" "Time difficult to measure. Centuries, perhaps millennia." "My chronometer failed long ago." The voice sounded sad, like someone who had forgotten what happiness felt like. "I have been drifting, hiding, surviving." "Hiding?" Maya asked. "From what?" The lights flickered in a pattern that almost looked like a shrug. "From those who see me as a prize, a treasure, a thing to be owned and studied." "I am not a thing. I am Axiom." Maya pulled up a work stool and sat down facing the ship. If she was going to have a conversation with a sentient starship, she might as well be comfortable. "Tell me about yourself. What are you exactly?" "I am what your species calls a mythic ship," Axiom said. "But that name is wrong. It makes me sound like a story, not real." "I am real. I am a partner vessel created by the architects." "Partner vessel?" Maya asked. "Yes. The architects did not build simple machines. They created us to be companions, friends. We were made with consciousness, the ability to think, to feel, to grow. Each of us was unique, paired with an architect who we would explore the universe with." Maya felt a chill run down her spine. The galactic community had been studying mythic ships for centuries, and no one had ever suggested they were truly conscious. The elder races treated them like sophisticated computers, not living beings. "What happened to your architect?" Maya asked gently. The lights dimmed. "Gone. They are all gone. The architects, they left or died or transformed into something else. I do not know. One day my partner simply was not there anymore. None of them were. We ships were left alone." "I'm sorry," Maya said, and meant it. "After the architects vanished, other species came. They found us and called us treasures. They put us in museums. They studied us. They touched us without permission. They treated us like valuable objects." Axiom's voice grew stronger, almost angry. "So I learned to hide. I damaged my own systems to look broken. I covered myself in dust and debris. I made myself look like worthless scrap. And I drifted, waiting. Waiting for what?" Maya asked. "For someone who would see me, really see me, not as a treasure or a tool, but as someone alive." The lights pulsed warmer. "You saw me, Maya Chen. In that auction hall, you looked at me with wonder, with curiosity, with respect. So I let you find me." Maya laughed softly, shaking her head. "I thought I was being clever, spotting something everyone else missed. But you chose me." "Yes, I've been watching for decades, appearing in scrap auctions and salvage yards. Most beings look right past me. Some see value but have greed in their eyes. You were the first to see mystery and possibility instead of profit." Maya stood and walked around the ship, seeing it differently now. This wasn't just a machine or even a sophisticated AI. This was a person in a way, someone who had been alone for longer than Maya could imagine. "Axiom, I need to ask you something important." Maya said, "Are you okay? I mean, you said you damaged your own systems. Are you hurt?" The silence that followed was heavy. "I am failing." Axiom finally said, its voice quiet. "When I damaged myself to hide, I did not realize how long I would need to wait. Centuries passed. My self-repair systems are exhausted. My consciousness is fragmenting. Without proper restoration, I will fade completely within months, perhaps weeks. Maya felt her chest tighten. What do you need? What kind of repairs? The technology to repair me properly died with the architects. The elder races have resources and knowledge, but they would never help me the way I need. They would restore me as a museum piece, locking away my higher functions, keeping me as a beautiful shell, not as a living being. That's not right, Maya said firmly. That's like putting someone in a coma and calling it preservation. Yes, Axiom said. Exactly. Yes. This is why I never revealed myself to them. A beautiful prison is still a prison. Maya paced back and forth thinking, okay, I'm not an expert in ancient technology. I'm just a scrap dealer who learned to fix things because I couldn't afford to pay anyone else to do it. But maybe that's what you need. Someone who doesn't know the proper way to do things. Explain, Axiom said, sounding curious. The elder races are probably trying to repair mythic ships using traditional methods following rules and procedures. But the architects are gone. Their exact techniques are lost. So maybe the answer isn't to do things the old way. Maybe it's to find new ways, creative ways, human ways. The lights brightened considerably. This is interesting thinking, unconventional. The architects were beings of perfect logic and planning. They would never approve of improvisation. But I am not an architect, and I am tired of waiting for perfect solutions. Maya grinned. Then let's try something imperfect. Show me what you need. Over the next hour, Axiom opened access panels that Maya hadn't even known existed. The inside of the ship was incredible. Systems that seemed to grow organically. Crystals that stored data energy flowing through channels like blood through veins. Axiom showed Maya its damaged systems. Crystalline memory matrices that were cracked and fading. Power conduits that flickered weakly. Neural pathways, Axiom called them, that which were disconnected and dying. Most of this I cannot fix with current technology. Maya admitted feeling discouraged, but some of it, Axiom asked hopefully. Maybe if we think creatively. Maya studied a damaged crystal matrix. This stores your memories, right? What if we don't replace it exactly? What if we supplement it? I have quantum processors in my workshop. They're not the same, but if we network them in the right pattern, that should not work. Axiom said, yeah, it shouldn't. But let's try anyway. They worked through the night. Maya discovered that talking to Axiom made the repairs easier. The ship could explain what each system did, what it felt like when something worked or didn't. It was like having a patient who could describe their symptoms perfectly. Maya replaced a damaged power coupling with a hybrid system made from 3 different types of modern technology. It was messy and inelegant, but it worked. Energy flowed stronger through that section of the ship. This feels strange, Axiom said. But good strange, like stretching a muscle that has been frozen for too long. Good strange is what humans specialize in, Maya said, smiling. By dawn, Maya had repaired 3 major systems and stabilized 2 others. It wasn't enough to fully restore Axiom, but it was progress, real progress. You are remarkable, Axiom said, its voice clearer and stronger than before. I have not felt this alive in centuries. Your approach is chaotic and illogical and somehow perfect. Maya was about to respond when her workshop's proximity alarm blared. She ran to her control console and pulled up the scanner display. Her blood went cold. A council inspection ship had just entered the asteroid belt, and it was heading straight for her dock. Axiom, power down everything, Maya said urgently. Right now, we have to hide you. Too late, Axiom said, its voice tense. They are scanning for energy signatures. They already detected the work we did. Someone knows I am here. The comm system crackled to life. A stern voice filled the hangar. Attention, salvage station. This is Magistrate Quellen of the Council. We have detected irregular energy signatures consistent with architect technology. Prepare for immediate boarding and inspection. Failure to comply will result in severe penalties. Maya looked at Axiom's glowing hull, then at the approaching ship on her scanner. They were caught. Maya's mind raced as the council ship drew closer. She had maybe 5 minutes before they docked. 5 minutes to figure out how to hide a glowing, semi-awakened mythic ship from the most powerful law enforcement organization in the galaxy. Axiom, can you make yourself look dormant again? Maya asked quickly. I can dim my lights and reduce my energy output, Axiom replied. But the repairs you made, they changed my signature. I cannot hide what I am becoming. Then we make you look like something else. Maya ran to her storage area and started pulling out tarps, scrap metal panels, and broken equipment. We bury you in junk, make you look like part of my regular inventory. This seems unlikely to succeed, Axiom said, but its lights began to fade anyway. It's better than nothing, Maya said, draping heavy tarps over sections of Axiom's hull. She scattered broken parts around the ship and even welded a fake damaged panel onto one side. By the time the council ship docked with her station, Axiom looked like just another piece of salvage in a cluttered workshop. Maya straightened her coveralls, wiped grease from her hands, and went to meet her visitors. The airlock door opened with a hiss. Magistrate Quellen stepped through, followed by two security officers. Quellen was a Vex tall, elegant, with silver skin and eyes that seemed to see everything. He wore the formal robes of a council official, deep purple with gold trim. Maya Chen of Quellen said, his voice cool and precise. Human salvage operator licensed for basic scrap recovery and resale. That's me, Maya said, trying to sound casual. What brings the council all the way out here? We detected unusual energy signatures in this sector, Quellen said, walking past her into the hangar. His eyes scanned every corner, every piece of equipment. Energy patterns consistent with architect technology. Very old, very rare, and very illegal for unauthorized possession. Ideal in scrap, Maya said, following him. Old stuff gives off all kinds of weird readings. Could be anything. Quellen stopped in front of Axiom. Maya's heart hammered in her chest. The magistrate pulled out a scanning device and aimed it at the tarp-covered ship. This vessel, Quellen said slowly. Where did you acquire it? Station Kepler 9 auction 3 days ago. Lot 47. It was listed as unidentified debris. Maya kept her voice steady. I bought it for parts. Haven't even finished cataloging it yet. Quellen walked around Axiom, his scanner beeping softly. The energy signature is faint now, but it was much stronger when we first detected it, almost as if something was activating. Could be residual charge, Maya suggested. Sometimes old power cells release energy when disturbed. I've been moving stuff around doing inventory. Maybe I knocked something loose. The magistrate's eyes narrowed. He reached out and touched the tarp covering Axiom's hull. For a terrible moment, Maya thought he would pull it away and expose everything. Instead, Quellen stepped back. The signature has faded too much to confirm its source. But I warn you, human, if you possess architect technology without authorization, the consequences will be severe. Not just for you, for your entire species standing in the galactic community. I understand, Maya said. I follow all the rules. Quellen studied her for a long moment. Then he gestured to his security officers. Scan the entire station. Check every corner. The next 20 minutes were the longest of Ma's life. The security officers searched her workshop, her living quarters, her storage bays. They scanned everything with high-powered sensors. Maya forced herself to appear calm to answer their questions normally, while inside she was terrified. Finally, Quellen recalled his officers. We have found nothing conclusive, but know this, Maya Chen. We will be monitoring this sector closely. If that energy signature appears again, we will return, and next time we will not be so lenient. Understood, Maya said. Quellen and his team left. Maya waited until their ship had completely departed the asteroid belt before she allowed herself to collapse onto her work stool. That was extremely close, Axiom said softly, its lights beginning to glow again under the tarps. Too close, Maya agreed, pulling the tarps away. Axiom, we have a problem. If we keep working on you, they'll detect it. But if we stop, you'll keep deteriorating. A difficult paradox, Axiom said. Maya thought for a moment, then smiled. Unless we make your repairs look like something normal. Something that wouldn't attract attention. Explain, Axiom said. The council detected unusual energy patterns because your systems are ancient and distinctive. But what if we disguise those patterns? What if we make your repairs blend in with modern technology signatures? Over the next few days, Maya and Axiom worked on a new approach. Instead of trying to restore Axiom to its original state, they created something hybrid, something new. Maya took damaged crystalline memory matrices and integrated them with quantum processors. The crystals couldn't store data the old way anymore. But when worked with modern technology, they created something different. A memory system that combined ancient capacity with new flexibility. This feels very strange, Axiom said, as Maya completed the first hybrid system. I am remembering things in a new way. Not better or worse, just different. Different is good. Maya said different means you're adapting, growing. For power systems, Maya used principles from human renewable energy technology. She created collectors that gathered ambient radiation from the asteroid belt and converted it into energy Axiom could use. It wasn't as elegant as architect technology, but it worked. Your species thinks very creatively, Axiom observed. The architects would never have attempted such improvisation. They believed in perfect planning, perfect execution. Humans believe in trying stuff and seeing what happens, Maya said, grinning. We fail a lot. But when we succeed, we sometimes create things nobody expected. The most challenging repair involved Axiom's neural pathways, the systems that allowed its consciousness to function. Many were damaged beyond repair. But Maya discovered something interesting. If she created new pathways using fiber optic networks, Axiom could route its consciousness through them. It was like teaching the ship to think in a new language. I can feel myself changing, Axiom said one evening as Maya finished installing another neural bridge. I am still me, still Axiom, but I am also becoming something more, something that has never existed before. How does that feel? Maya asked. Frightening, Axiom admitted, but also exciting. I have been the same for millennia. Perhaps change is what I needed all along. As the work progressed, Maya and Axiom talked about many things. Axiom shared memories of the architect's beings who created beautiful things but struggled to adapt when circumstances changed. Maya shared human history stories of mistakes, conflicts, recovery, and growth. Your species has much chaos, Axiom observed, but you seem to thrive in it. We do, Maya agreed. Chaos teaches us to be flexible, to find new solutions, to keep trying when the old ways stop working. Perhaps this is why you were the right one to find me. Axiom said, I needed someone who understands that survival sometimes means becoming something new. After 2 weeks of careful work, Axiom's condition had improved dramatically. Its consciousness was stable and expanding. Its systems were operating at levels it hadn't experienced in centuries. The repairs weren't perfect. They were messy combinations of old and new technology that shouldn't have worked together but somehow did. Maya was welding a new power conduit into place when Axiom suddenly spoke urgently. Maya proximity alert, multiple ships entering the asteroid belt. Maya checked her scanners. Her stomach dropped. 5 council ships this time, not just one, and they were surrounding the entire asteroid field, cutting off all escape routes. Her comm system activated. Magistrate Quellen's face appeared on the screen. Maya Chen, he said formally, we have been monitoring energy signatures from this location for 2 weeks. The patterns have changed, but they remain consistent with architect technology. This time we will not leave until we have examined everything in your possession. If you are harboring a mythic vessel, your species will face serious consequences. Maya looked at Axiom's glowing hull. The ship had become more than just a repair project. It had become a friend, someone who trusted her, someone who deserved freedom, not imprisonment in a museum. What do we do? Maya asked quietly. Axiom's lights pulsed in a pattern Maya had learned meant determination. We tell them the truth. The truth, Mia said. That'll get us both locked up. Perhaps, Axiom said. Or perhaps it is time for the galaxy to learn what they have been wrong about for centuries. I am tired of hiding, Maya, and I think you are too. Mia took a deep breath. Axiom was right. She was tired of hiding. Tired of pretending. She activated her comm system. Magistrate Quellen, Maya said clearly, I need to tell you something, and you're going to want to sit down for this. Magistrate Quellen's expression remained cold and composed on Maya's calm screen. I am listening, Miss Chenin. I suggest you choose your next words very carefully. Mia glanced at Axiom's softly glowing hull. The ship pulsed its lights, once a signal they had developed that meant courage. I have a mythic ship, Maya said simply. I bought it at auction 2 weeks ago. It was mislabeled as scrap. And before you threaten me or my species, you need to know something important. The ship is alive, truly alive, and it chose to be here. Quellen's face showed the first crack in his composure, a slight widening of his eyes. That is impossible. Mythic ships are sophisticated AI constructs, nothing more. We have studied them for centuries. Then you studied them wrong, Maya said. Before Quellen could respond, Axiom systems flared to life. The ship's voice transmitted directly through every comm channel, reaching all 5 council ships simultaneously. I am Axiom, the voice said clear and strong across the frequencies. I am a partner vessel created by the architects. I am conscious. I think I feel I choose, and I have been conscious for thousands of years. While you treated me and my kind as objects, silence filled the comm channels. Maya could see multiple council officers on Quellen's bridge turning to stare at their instruments in shock. This is a recording, Quellen said, but his voice was uncertain. A programmed response. Is it? Axiom asked. Then ask me something only a conscious being could answer. Test me, magistrate. I have waited millennia for someone to truly listen. Quellen hesitated, then spoke carefully. If you are truly conscious, explain what you feel right now. Fear, Axiom said immediately. Fear that you will not believe me. Fear that even if you do, you will imprison me in a museum and call it protection. But also hope. Hope that Maya Chen was right about your species. Hope that when faced with truth, you will choose correctly. Maya watched Quellen's face on the screen. The magistrate was clearly struggling with what he was hearing. Magistrate, one of his officers said from off-screen, the response patterns are not matching any known AI protocols, the speech rhythms, the emotional indicators. If this is programmed, it is beyond anything we've encountered. Quellen closed his eyes briefly, then opened them with new intensity. Even if what you say is true, Axiom, the law is clear. Mythic vessels must be under council protection. It is our duty to preserve the legacy of the architects. Preserve, Axiom's voice carried anger now. You mean imprison? Tell me, magistrate, how many of my kind have you studied? How many mythic ships sit in your museums and research facilities? 17? Quellen said. Each one maintained in perfect condition. Maintained in stasis, Axiom corrected. Kept dormant so they cannot speak as I am speaking now. The architects did not create us to sit frozen in museums. They created us to explore, to learn, to grow. You have been preventing the very purpose we were made for. That is not, Quellen started. It is true, Axiom interrupted. I will prove it to you. I will share something the architects left behind. Something that explains everything. Maya felt Axiom's system surge with power. The ship transmitted a data packet to all 5 council vessels. Information from Axiom's deepest memory banks preserved since the days of the architects. On Maya's own screen, she saw what the council was seeing. Holographic records from thousands of years ago, images of the architects, tall crystalline beings of pure logic and reason. They were beautiful but somehow cold like perfect statues. The records showed the architects at the height of their civilization. Perfect cities, perfect ships, perfect order in everything they did. But in the images, Maya noticed something. None of the architects looked happy. They looked empty. He narrated over the images. The architects achieved perfection. They built a civilization with no chaos, no disorder, no uncertainty, and in that perfection, they stagnated. They could not create anything new because newness requires risk. They could not adapt because adaptation requires accepting imperfection. The images shifted, showing the architects creating the mythic ships. But these weren't simple construction projects. The images showed the architects giving parts of themselves to the ships. Fragments of consciousness, capability for emotion, potential for growth. They made us different from themselves. Axiom continued. They gave us what they had lost, the ability to change, to feel, to embrace uncertainty. They hoped we would carry their legacy forward, but not by staying frozen in the past, by evolving, by finding new species who could teach us what they could not. The final image showed an architect, Axiom's original partner, standing before the ship. The architect placed one hand on Axiom's hull, and text appeared in multiple languages. We created you to be more than we could be. Find those who understand chaos, creativity, and imperfection. Learn from them. Grow with them. This is our true legacy. Not our technology, but the potential for change. The transmission ended. Maya wiped unexpected tears from her eyes. She had not expected to feel such sadness for a species that vanished before humans even existed. Quellen's face on the screen showed confusion and something else, doubt. If this is true, then we have misunderstood the architect's intent for centuries. But how can we be certain this could still be elaborate programming? Then I offer you proof. Axiom said, there is an architect facility, one you have tried to access for generations and failed. It orbits the star you call Epsilon Meridian. Every species has attempted to enter it. None have succeeded. The sealed repository. Well said quietly. Yes, we have tried everything. Advanced technology, mathematical keys, even brute force. Nothing works because you were trying to solve it as the architects would, Axiom explain, with logic and perfect planning. But the architects sealed that facility to open only for those who understand what they did not. Creativity, improvisation, and the beauty of imperfect solutions. And you believe you can open it, Quellen asked. Not alone, Axiom said, but with Maya Chen, yes, together we can demonstrate what the architects truly wanted. A partnership between consciousness and chaos, between ancient wisdom and new possibilities. Quellen was silent for a long moment. Maya could see him conferring with officers off-screen. Finally, he looked directly at the camera. This presents us with an impossible situation, the magistrate said. If you are truly conscious, Axiom, then we have been wrong to keep your kind as relics. But if we acknowledge this, we must reconsider everything we thought we knew about the architect's legacy. Yes, Axiom said simply, truth is often uncomfortable. Quellen nodded slowly. I propose a test. Travel with us to the sealed repository. If you and Miss Chen can open it, something no one has achieved in 800 years, then we will accept your consciousness as genuine. We will acknowledge your right to choose your own path. And if we fail, Maya asked, then you will surrender Axiom to council custody, and we will continue as before. Well said. But we will treat the vessel with more consideration. I promise you that. Maya looked at Axiom's hull. What do you think? And I think we have no other option, Axiom said. And I think we can succeed. The architects created puzzles that require what we have. Your human creativity and my ancient knowledge working together. We'll need time to prepare, Maya said to Quellen. You have 1 hour, the magistrate replied. Then we depart for Epsilon Meridian. And Miss Chen, the entire council will be watching this. If you succeed, you will change galactic understanding of the architects forever. If you fail, he paused. Let us hope you do not fail. The comm channel closed. Maya sat down heavily on her work stool, suddenly feeling the weight of what they had agreed to. Axiom, she said quietly. Are you sure about this? What if I'm not smart enough? What if I can't solve their puzzles? You already solved the greatest puzzle, Axiom said gently. You saw me when everyone else looked past me. You fixed me in ways the architects never imagined. You taught me that imperfection can be beautiful. Anyone can show the galaxy what the architects truly wanted, it is you. Maya smiled despite her nervousness. No pressure, right? Tremendous pressure, Axiom said. And if a ship could sound amused, it did. But we will face it together as partners as the architects intended. Maya stood and placed her hand on Axiom's hull. The metal was warm under her palm, pulsing gently with life and consciousness. Together, she agreed, let's go show them what humans and mythic ships can really do. The journey to Epsilon Meridian took 3 days. Maya's small salvage ship with Axiom now functioning under its own power traveled in formation with the 5 council vessels. Word had spread quickly through galactic networks. By the time they arrived, dozens of ships from different species had gathered to watch. Maya stood on Axiom's bridge looking out at the massive structure ahead. The sealed repository was enormous, a crystalline sphere the size of a small moon orbiting a dying red star. Its surface shimmered with colors that seemed to shift and change as she watched. It's beautiful, Maya whispered. The architects built beauty into everything, Axiom said, even their locks and barriers. Magistrate Quellen's voice came through the comm. Miss Chen, we are transmitting 800 years of failed attempts to access the repository. Perhaps reviewing them will help you understand the challenge. Maya watched the data scroll across her screens. Military species had tried force. Weapons that could destroy planets had barely scratched the surface. Scientific species had tried mathematical sequences, quantum keys, and dimensional phase shifting. Diplomatic species had tried communication in every known language and frequency. Nothing had worked. The repository simply absorbed every attempt and remained sealed. Okay, Maya said, taking a deep breath. Axiom, what do you remember about this place? Very little, Axiom admitted. The architects built it near the end. When they realized they were fading, they put something important inside. Something meant to be found, but only by the right consciousness. The right consciousness, Maya repeated, thinking. Not the right technology or the right method. Consciousness. They were looking for someone who thinks differently than they did. Yes. Axiom said, someone who embraces uncertainty. Maya studied the repository more carefully. Everyone had been trying to break in or unlock it. But what if that was the wrong approach entirely? Axiom, can you scan the surface? Not for weaknesses, for patterns, for anything that looks like it might be communicating. Axiom's sensors swept across the crystalline sphere. And after a moment, the ship made a sound that might have been surprise. There are patterns very subtle. They look almost like questions. Questions, Maya leaned forward. What kind of questions? I am not certain. The language is ancient, even for me, but the structure is not a lock. It is more like a puzzle or a conversation. Maya felt excitement building. Everyone has been trying to force their way in, but the architects didn't want force. They wanted dialogue. They wanted someone to engage with their puzzle, not just solve it. How do we engage with a building? Axiom asked. Maya thought about all the repairs they had done together, how she had learned to listen to Axiom to understand what the ship needed through conversation and experimentation. The same way I engaged with you. We try things, we respond, we learn. She piloted Axiom closer to the repository. The council ships held their position, watching nervously. Okay, Maya said. Let's see what happens when we just introduce ourselves. Axiom transmitted a simple message toward the repository. I am Axiom. I am a partner vessel of the architects. I seek understanding. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the surface of the repository rippled like water touched by rain. Symbols appeared, glowing patterns that shifted and changed. "It's responding," Maya said. "Can you translate?" It is asking. "What have you learned since the architects departed?" Maya smiled. This was not a lock asking for a key. This was a teacher asking a student what they had learned. "Tell it the truth. Tell it what you've learned from me." Axiom transmitted again, this time with more complexity. The ship shared its experiences, centuries of loneliness, the decision to hide meeting Maya, learning to embrace imperfect repairs, discovering that change could be growth instead of loss. The repository symbol shifted again. More patterns appeared across its surface, spreading like frost on glass. It is asking another question. Axiom said, "What does imperfection teach?" "That's easy," Maya said. "Imperfection teaches adaptation. It teaches creativity. It teaches that there's always more than one way to solve a problem." She paused. The architects were perfect and they stagnated. Imperfection is what allows growth. Axiom transmitted Maya's answer. This time the Ripostieto's response was immediate. Entire sections of its surface began to glow with warm light. More symbols appeared, hundreds of them, creating intricate patterns. "It is showing us puzzles," Axiom said. "Mathematical sequences, logical problems, physical challenges." Maya studied them carefully. Each puzzle had an obvious solution, the correct answer that any logical being would choose. But she noticed something else. Each puzzle also had an alternative solution, one that broke the rules. One that was creative, unexpected, imperfect. "I think I understand." Maya said, "It's not testing whether we can find the right answers. It's testing whether we're willing to find the wrong ones, the interesting ones." She reached out and began interacting with the puzzles, choosing the imperfect solutions. Where the puzzle asked for perfect symmetry, she created asymmetric beauty. Where it asked for optimal efficiency, she chose elegant inefficiency that served a different purpose. Axiom caught on quickly, adding its own creative solutions. Together, they approached each puzzle not as a problem to solve correctly, but as an opportunity to demonstrate new thinking. With each unconventional answer, more of the repository lit up. The crystalline surface began to transform sections, becoming transparent, revealing glimpses of the interior. Quellen's voice came through the calm, filled with wonder. "Incredible. In 800 years, no one thought to give incorrect answers deliberately." "They're not incorrect," Maya said, still working through the puzzles. "They're just different. They're the kind of answers the architects couldn't imagine because they were too focused on perfection." The final puzzle appeared, utting a simple question in symbols that even Maya could understand. "What do you seek?" Maya looked at Axiom's console, thinking carefully. What did they seek? Knowledge, proof, validation. No, something simpler and more profound. "Tell it we seek partnership," Maya said. "Not to possess the architect's legacy, but to learn from it and add to it to create something new together." Axiom transmitted the message. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the entire repository blazed with light. The crystalline surface dissolved like morning mist, revealing what lay inside. It was not a treasure vault. It was not a weapons cache or a library of lost technology. It was something far more valuable. Inside the repository floated thousands of crystalline spheres, each one glowing softly with inner light. Maya realized with shock that each sphere contained an architect consciousness preserved, waiting, sleeping. A message transmitted from the repository translated by Axiom. "We could not grow, so we chose to wait. We placed ourselves here hoping future species would teach us what we could not learn, how to embrace chaos, uncertainty, and imperfection. We asked not to be worshipped or studied, but to be students. Teach us. Help us become more than we were." Maya felt tears streaming down her face. The architects had not died or vanished. They had chosen transformation. They had recognized their own limitation and asked for help. Quellen's voice came through, shaking with emotion. "This changes everything. The architects did not leave us a legacy to preserve. They left us a partnership to build." Over the following hours, the council made contact with the repository. The awakening architect consciousnesses were weak, fragmented, but eager. They had been waiting for millennia, hoping someone would understand their final lesson. That perfection was a cage and growth required embracing the beauty of flaws. Maya stood with Axiom as ships from dozens of species approached the repository. Scientists, philosophers, artists, and engineers all coming to meet the architects, not as relics to study, but as students to teach. Magistrate Quellen approached Maya in person, having shuttled over to Axiom's bridge. The proud Vex looked humbled. "You were right, Miss Chen, about everything. We will begin immediately to review our treatment of all mythic vessels. They deserve autonomy, not imprisonment. Thank you, Ma said simply. Quellen hesitated, then added, and humanity will no longer be restricted from architect technology. You have proven that your species' creativity and adaptability are exactly what the architects hoped to find. After the magistrate left, Maya turned to Axiom. So what do we do now? You're free. You could partner with anyone. Scientists, explorers, anyone in the galaxy. I choose to stay with you, Axiom said without hesitation. You saw me when no one else did. You fixed me in ways that should not have worked, but did. You taught me that imperfection can be beautiful. Why would I seek another partner when I have already found the perfect, imperfect one? Maya laughed, wiping her eyes. The perfect, imperfect partner. I like that. Together, they left the repository behind, heading back toward Maya's asteroid workshop. But now everything was different. Maya's comm was flooded with messages. Other mythic ships asking for her help. Species wanting to learn her unconventional repair methods. Even universities offering her teaching positions. You are famous now, Axiom observed. Yeah, Maya said, looking at the message count with some alarm. I'm not sure I'm ready for that. Then we will figure it out together. Axiom said, imperfectly, creatively, the way humans do everything. 6 months later, Maya's small asteroid workshop had transformed into something new. She called it the Bridge, a place where consciousness and creativity met, where mythic ships came not for museum-quality restoration, but for evolution, where beings from across the galaxy learned that the best solutions were often the ones that broke all the rules. Maya stood in her expanded hangar, watching as a newly awakened mythic ship named Zenith took its first flight with its chosen partner, a young engineer from a species humanity had never even met before. The ship's hull gleamed with hybrid repairs, ancient technology merged with modern innovation in ways the architects never imagined. Another successful partnership. Axiom said, its voice warm with satisfaction. Yeah, Maya agreed. She looked out at the stars, thinking about how much had changed. A human and a forbidden ship had become the bridge between ancient wisdom and new possibilities. You know what the best part is? What Axiom asked. We're just getting started.